I'm Dee.
And welcome back to Postpartum Uncut. So this is the postpartum channel where we're just getting down to the nitty gritty, the unfiltered truth about things and topics that you probably want to get more information on that really happened during the postpartum period.
Today's topic, breastfeeding.
Dun, 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 dun.
Goody. Before we dive into breastfeeding, what comes with it, what the reality of it is, pros, cons, all the good stuff. Before we delve into that, we gotta talk about our mocktail.
Look at these colors. Look how healthy this looks.
First of all, it's a whole fruit salad, y'all.
A liquid fruit salad.
Mm-hmm.
So this right here is our peach sangria. Obviously, it's a mocktail, so there's no real alcoholic wine in here.
You sure?
But, yeah, I know, it tastes good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we chose this drink because it really mimics a sangria. It tastes just like one. So, there's this brand called Free, I believe that's how you pronounce it, where they make non-alcoholic wine. It is so good, you think you're tasting the real thing. So, that's in here, a lot of fruits. It's very pretty, and yeah. I've never had a sangria that I don't like.
Ever. I typically go for red, but that expired. And you can look at the label and figure out how to get that alcohol-free wine. If you check out our mocktail video for our flight this month. So this one is on there. It's the white peach sangria. And Chelsea does feature like the alcohol bottles in there so you can see the label and purchase for yourself. And then also, don't forget to ask for a mocktail menu at your local bars because they sometimes will have the alcohol-free liquor as well.
So there are really so many pros and cons to breastfeeding. Like, you really can make an argument for whichever one you think is better. And it really just comes down to what is best for you, your household, your flow of your routine, and just kind of your body, honestly. So a big pro that a lot of women like when it comes to breastfeeding is it does help you shed baby weight. So not every woman is inflicted with this, but some women put on a lot of extra weight during their pregnancy, and it's hard for them to get it off, whether it's just low metabolism, maybe they're on bed rest because of the surgery, their routine doesn't allow them to exercise like they used to or how they want to now.
Caring from birth.
Yeah, part of that recovery period. So there's just a lot of things that can prevent or, inhibit you from losing that baby weight. And honestly speaking, breastfeeding and pumping burn calories. Like, I literally I was already smaller anyway. I wasn't like huge or big or anything after I had delivered my baby. But literally, pumping actually made me lose so much weight that I actually was like at a weight that was way lower than pre-baby. So I actually was kind of upset. I was like, what's going on here? So, because if anybody knows me, I'm actually on a weight gain journey with my fitness in the gym. So I was actually upset. That contributed to, like, on the last video, how we talked about postpartum scale 1 to 10. That contributed to my 4 because I'm over here like, how am I less than what I weighed before I had the baby?
She's like, because I shall been eating.
This didn't make any sense. So yeah, definitely for some women who want to lose weight, this is great for you guys. It's almost like a passive way of shedding some pounds.
No, but it really is.
Yeah.
That initial, like, birth weight melted off of me. And then I feel like whatever was left was just whatever I kind of, like, did myself.
Yeah.
Or whatever is left, I should say. Definitely a pro to breastfeeding being that you're passively burning calories because I don't like to sit still, and then I didn't know when I could walk again. Like, I was fine after birth. Y'all should see me. I was cleaning my house and stuff. I was like, I can walk, but I should have.
Sat down?
I should have sat down. Eventually, we got to a point where I realized that, right? But initially I was like, oh, I can, but I wasn't gonna push it, and I was waiting to get cleared. So like to know that I was still like burning calories and somewhat like doing something, that was cool.
Yeah, I definitely think another pro for me is just the bonding time with the baby.
Yeah.
It's just something about the snuggles, the cuddling when they're just latched onto the boob. Like you just know that you could feel the vibe from your baby that you're their safe space. They know that you're protecting them,
nurturing them.
Like it's just an indescribable feeling when they finally latch. You guys are like one,
right?
Literally,
right?
Like one. It's a beautiful feeling.
I definitely loved bonding, and then we're gonna delve deeper into breastfeeding experiences, right? But when my experience wasn't going so hot, that was one of my like, because I felt like guilty that I wasn't able to bond with him in that way. So I did a lot of like skin to skin napping. So if you're not able to breastfeed, you know, that is a good way.
That's a great option
to bond. But there is that moment y'all looking at each other like, I love you too. It is a moment.
Yeah, and then piggybacking off of the skin to skin, as a NICU mom, that's actually what they promote in the NICU because you can't breastfeed early on. Like, that's not an option. They have the feeding tube. It's scheduled every 3 hours. They're going to get the nutrients through the feeding tube. They get your breast milk if you do pump, and they recommend that you do that. But skin to skin is kind of the only option. You don't get the boob. So yes, skin to skin for those of you who may not want to breastfeed or have issues latching, that's still a great way to bond with your baby. All right, guys, we had to take a slight intermission. Baby boy wasn't having it in the background, so.
And I wasn't having him, okay?
Welcome to motherhood. So another pro with breastfeeding is that it's the best nutrients for your baby, period. There's just so many, like, I guess you could say probiotics, just so many things that the mother's body gives the baby that's going to help fight off infections, colds, all that jazz. And then once again, piggybacking to like the NICU section, like they actually want the baby to get breast milk. And if the mother can't produce, they highly recommend having you fill out information for you to actually go to like a milk bank. In the hospital I was at had one in the hospital, but I was like, I don't want donor milk for my baby. Like, nothing against that, and it's great options for people that don't have the personal option, but I was like, no, I want my baby to have mommy's breast milk.
Right.
So I was pumping up a storm, but moral of the story is it's just the best way for your baby to get the most amount of nutrients as possible.
Yeah, that's that organic. Okay. That was my original reason for wanting to breastfeed, because I was like, if my body makes it, it's natural. I know where it's coming from. I know what I'm eating. I'm like, it made sense. And I think that's part of the first time mom in us too, like just making sure we do things right, you know? And then obviously because it's organic, it's also free. So being the economically efficient choice.
Free.
It's like, why would I want to pay? Have y'all seen a can of formula costs about $25? Okay.
And then it's about $30 if you have to get like the extra calorie count.
I was gonna say, if it's special, then it's extra. You know how guac is extra? Okay. Like, so thank God for WIC and other programs like that. But yeah, no, breast milk is free. It's free AF. Like, that was the other huge reason why I was so down for breastfeeding.
So, moving on to cons, I think one of the ones that kind of hits home with everybody is it's time consuming. Like, I really didn't understand or realize the magnitude of how time consuming breastfeeding was, because it's like the mother's the only one that can do it. So it's like the father, the grandma, whoever can't really jump in and save you or help you or let you get that nap in if the baby's hungry, if you're solely breastfeeding. So that's just something to think about. I personally recommend bottle and breastfeeding, because it's like it's letting your baby get exposed to both options. Because think about it, if you want to have date night with your man, and grandma's watching the baby, but you solely breastfeed, what's going to happen?
Right.
So I think having exposure to both is important, but both still lets you use your breast milk only if that's what you want to do.
And if you are one of those people like me that was concerned about nipple confusion, which is basically the theory that certain bottles have nipples that are not shaped like a nipple on a boob, right? Or that bottles don't give the same effect as a boob. They're really trying to even the playing field for the dads and the not mothers for the feeding process and to not ruin it for the baby. I personally recommend the Nano Baby bottles. They are squishy and shaped like boobs, and the nipples are very similarly shaped, so that I was trying to eliminate as many problems as possible. Even though it didn't work, it was helpful. He loves those bottles. I know every baby's going to pick their own bottle, but if you're looking for something for that reason, that's why I went with them, and we haven't used any other bottle since.
Speaking of that too, what they say is using a silicone binky also helps kind of be like the gap, or like transition into like, okay, bottle and boob. Because they say like the regular ones, like the plastic ones that everybody get, like the big circle ones, that doesn't really replicate the nipple, just like a silicone does. And the silicone ones are a little bit more expensive, and I think that's why it is, because it's supposed to feel more like the nipple and then kind of be shaped a little bit closer to that. So that kind of helped my baby kind of bridge that gap between starting off being bottle fed only to latching more consistently. If you guys need a tip for that.
And for anybody that was like me when they were pregnant, trying to research stuff, I feel like we're talking like we know stuff, that like, because we're here, right? So if I didn't know anything, you should know. This is important because it affects how the baby latches. That's important. The shape of the pacifier makes them suck a certain way. So how they chew or suck on that bottle is how they're going to do you. And hence why we call my baby Baby Shark. It matters. And that didn't happen because of the bottle. It was just a process between like figuring out how to feed him and supplement him appropriately, and then everything with my experience. But so if you're wondering why there's even a discussion about this, it's because you care about how your baby latches so that they're eating on you properly, getting food correctly, the correct amount, and so you are not dying the entire time you're feeding them.
That's important.
It is.
That's important.
And also another con.
Yeah. Luckily for me though, baby girl never really was just aggressive on the boob. I was like, thank God. Like, it was just more so getting her to latch after being in the NICU, right, and only having the feeding tube than the bottle. Which brings me to my next point. A con can be the frustrating issue of your baby not latching. For any mom who really had their heart set on breastfeeding, it is devastating, it is disappointing, it's just literally disheartening when your baby essentially rejects your nipple. They just don't latch.
That word.
And it's almost like, is it me? Am I doing something wrong?
No, in real life, if your baby won't latch at all, that's one thing, but you feel that same way even if your baby's been latching, and the first day he or she rejects you, you're like, oh my God, are you mad at me? Like, your feelings get hurt. Your feelings get hurt. And you feel like you start overhyping it and you're like, is there something wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? Did I make you feel some type of way? And he ain't got no logic to it. He just don't want to eat there.
You're not hungry right now.
Or you're not hungry right now. Latching matters. Because what can also happen is if you're not latched properly, you also get cracked, torn, sore nipples. There are a lot of really cool breastfeeding accessories. We had like a whole spiel about pumping accessories, but there are nipple shields and nipple guards that like can help you with the latching process. If you're one of those people that has like inverted nipples, that can affect your latching. They have nipple guards that are shaped like a little bottle nipple. So that the baby can still drink from you, but it's like a bottle nipple between y'all facilitating the drinking. But there are plenty of breastfeeding. There's teas for when your production gets low. There's all kinds of accessories. So what I would recommend is having a breastfeeding buddy, a breastfeeding advocate, somebody to talk to. Because I think that
you're not alone, sis.
Yeah, you're not alone. Talk to somebody that did breastfeed before. It's very helpful. They'll understand like any struggles that you're going with.
Yeah. And actually, you brought up a great point when you were just talking about all the products to kind of help get you to breastfeed. One thing that I did learn in the NICU that was kind of a cool little tip is I would actually put breast milk, like little dabs of breast milk, on my actual nipple, get her to be like, is this breast milk? And then she would actually latch better because she already had like a little taste on the nipple of my breast milk. So that might be a little trick that you guys could try too. Okay, one more kind that we want to talk about when it comes to breastfeeding is you really don't know how much milk your baby's taking in. Like, is it 2 ounces? Was that 4 ounces that he got? I mean, he was on the boob for 30 minutes, so that might have been 3 ounces. I don't really know. So it's kind of hard to kind of tell how much the baby's really taking in. And if your baby has any sort of weight issues, anything like that, where you're trying to beef them up so that they can hit certain markers, it may be beneficial to kind of make sure you integrate some bottles so you know they're getting some consistency with X amount of ounces that they're getting in.
Not to mention, like, if you incorporate the bottle, I could kind of time baby boy's like feeding, like how fast he ate, because he hungry, right? So I knew 30 minutes was equivalent to this much ish, you know, so that made it easier. But I do not know if I would be able to do that if I did not bottle feed.
Or I wonder, like, maybe too, something I was just thinking about, you can kind of go maybe off of your pumping as well. Like in 30 minutes, if you pump this amount and your breasts feel empty-ish,
right,
and they kind of feel the same way after your baby finishes eating, then maybe they got in that amount that you normally pump in 30 minutes.
You know me, I'm always about like knowing your body. The better you are at listening to your body, the easier pregnancy and postpartum will be as far as the physical aspects will go. And I stand on that 10 toes. Like, start listening to your bodies, start stretching, start breathing, start understanding how your body works so you can know before you get sick, you're about to get sick. You can be preventative about certain things. And I mean, like, there are some aspects of postpartum that are just inevitable, but, you know, you can try to be a little bit prepared.
So when it comes down to the reality of breastfeeding, what do you feel like that encompasses? What do people need to know about your reality?
I think that's one of the parts about postpartum that I just wasn't ready for, was breastfeeding. I have my big sister figure who kind of got me hip, but she kind of was exclusively pumping, having latching issues as well. So the actual breastfeeding part, I didn't really have guidance on before I had already mentally was like over it, I feel like. So I don't really know how this works. I didn't think about this ahead of time. I thought this was just stuff that was already handled for you and ready in the hospital, but they should have a lactation nurse on duty. For whatever reason, my lactation nurse at my hospital was off when I had my baby. So the nurses, my awesome team of nurses, were very helpful in trying to teach me latching techniques, but he was very small. My boobs are very big. Latching was a process. I had him on a Saturday. We left on Monday. By the time I got home Monday night, my nipple was tore up. I did not want to feed. I didn't want to feed him. I was traumatized. So if there's one thing that I could say is, like, if you're getting induced, if you're having a planned cesarean, if you're doing anything that you can control plan-wise, make sure you know what's going on with the lactation nurse. If you know where you're going to give birth, talk about the lactation specialist there, ask them if they have one, and if not, go find one. Because I feel like had my experience started better, I would have breastfed a lot longer, or at least like known better. But it was rocky. I couldn't consistently feed him. We were already supplementing him with formula anyway because he was so small. And so he's being bottle fed regardless. I don't really know if there was nipple confusion or not. I don't think it was that. I think it was just trying to learn how to do things. He's a little baby. I don't know. We had latching issues though, sometimes. And then once we got the latching part down, it was just like a lot. I was stressed out about trying to pump and getting a backlog of milk. I didn't have that like overflow of milk that you had, and I was really jealous about that because I was like, my baby eat, honey, I'm trying to make some. But I think that's also because I wasn't prepared for maintaining it. We talked about like the schedule you have to maintain. If you don't pump or you don't like release that milk, you're gonna stop producing. Your body's like, oh, you don't need it anymore. I'm not gonna make any more. So that day that I got
less.
Yeah, significantly less. That day that I was sick, that I did not pump at all, engorged boobs, and milk supply went down for like 4 days. It took me 4 days to get it back up with tea, supplements. Breastfeeding became so much stress and anxiety that I finally just decided to stop, especially because he started eating more and more and more, and I was just like, I can't feed him, and I feel worse about myself. So I took that off my plate, and that just it lightened the load. I know how I feel about breastfeeding, and would I prefer him to be drinking organic? Sure. But is he fine? Yeah, he's fed, he's growing, he's healthy. So I know that there are a lot of old heads that'll make comments about which is better. If your baby is healthy, breathing, and fed, you good.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I would say breastfeeding, I was like the most unprepared for, pregnancy wise. Just how taxing it can be. Your body is still not your body. When you have the baby, he right there, and then he right here, and he here for like 30 minutes. And I would envy the girls that could just like pop out their boob and just feed their baby. And then I wasn't even trying to do that. And then I felt bad that I wasn't trying to do that. There was a lot of mom guilt going on with this. So you could see, like, for me, breastfeeding attached a lot of weight. Once I stopped, it helped a lot. Like, I just kind of... And then, I got my baby brother, so we good. We good over here.
I think for me, the reality was just, I wasn't prepared for the time consumption that was spent on breastfeeding. Like, I had an idea. I've seen people breastfeed at work. I've seen people leave the unit every so often and go do this, go do that. But I didn't really realize that I was gonna have to do this every 2 to 3 hours.
Or cluster feeding on demand.
Yeah, it's just it was a shock. It was a shock. And then for me, my journey, how she was saying, I just had milk just coming. I was shocked because since I delivered baby girl early, I thought I was gonna have issues. Like, my body isn't ready. Like, I didn't go through the whole phase of preparation of the 9 months. But no, as soon as she was delivered, placenta came out, like, my boobs are ready to go. I was like, oh, okay.
They said we ready.
Yeah, and since she was a NICU baby and she was premature, she wasn't eating that much out the gate. So I'm pumping, and she's only taking in, I don't know, like 30 cc's of breast milk. So it wasn't even a lot. So I literally had breast milk like falling out the freezer. Like, I literally had my stockpile at the hospital. So things were good. So when I started to transition from breastfeeding, I felt a little bit better about it because I knew she had gotten I did it for 6 months. And I knew she had got 6 months of almost exclusive breast milk bottles and or latching sessions. So I felt good about it. I would have gone longer had I had the knowledge of like portable breast pumps and how efficient they were.
Oof.
I went back to work pretty early on because, like I said, I had spent most of my maternity leave in the NICU. So by the time she came home, I probably had like 3 weeks, and then I had to go back to work. So I'm at work trying to figure out this balance of, okay, so I'm here for 12 hours, and I'm supposed to get 4 pump sessions in? That's not going to happen. So my milk literally started to diminish. I did eventually get the portable breast pump, which was nifty. Like, I could chart at the computer, like, people look at me like, who's pumping?
Who's pumping?
Me. Sorry, guys. I know it's overnight. I'm disturbing the peace, but it was very nifty. I just wish I would have had it earlier when I had more of my production still booming.
That goes back with the pumping video where I said, had I known about the microwavable sterilizing bags or the mobile pumping situation, like my pump situation drastically changed the minute I got my hands-free one together. Because I'm doing laundry, I'm like keeping myself busy. Like, I don't even have to think about the fact that I'm pumping. I'm doing something else. So what I would say advice-wise, guys, is just make sure you do your research. The baby industry changes like every 5 years. This is why I look at people crazy when they think they know what they're talking about, because things are constantly changing. And there are so many moms like us that are sick of doing things the way that don't make sense. So we're coming up with new things, right? So do your research. If breastfeeding is something you don't know a lot about, I would highly recommend talking to people about it or making that more of your focus during preparation. Had I really figured out a way to study for breastfeeding, I feel like I would have felt a little bit better, but I don't think you really can. I think it's just that first couple of hours where you're trying to figure out how to latch. I think that really is imperative to the rest of your experience.
Yep, and then also too, to make mention, I think I mentioned it in one of the other videos too, but if your baby is preemie and they're born early, the hospital, I won't say every hospital, but some hospitals do let you borrow their breast pump machinery for I think maybe 30 days until it's long enough for you to either tap into your insurance and try to get it for free through your insurance, or you buy your own product. So that's another nifty thing that some people don't know to ask either, to see if that's available to them.
I wanted to take a moment out to recommend something for moms and people supporting moms. Breastfeeding and pumping are such a big deal and a big part of your postpartum journey if you are breastfeeding. It's one of the best gifts to put on the registry. It's one of the best gifts to buy off the registry. Fun fact, she put that Medela system on her registry. I bought it, gave it to her, put it on mine. I was like, oh,
this is
look at that. I didn't even know all that stuff about the calves, right? And then I get home and I'm like, oh shit, look at that. And I was like, I'm getting her a cool gift. Look at me, right? And then I put it on mine.
That's how it works too when you and your friends ish are pregnant around the same time ish. It's okay, you peeking at other people's registries
yeah.
What did I miss something? Let me see what she got on her registry.
Or what's the difference between this bottle warmer and that bottle warmer?
Is this a better brand? Yeah, so that's actually a cool thing too.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of you guys that I know, there's a lot of my scattered associates that are pregnant right now. It'd be really cool if you guys hopped in a discussion in the comments and talked. But definitely consider getting some breastfeeding accessories, storage bags, a storage system, the pump. Shout out to my homegirl who got me my wearable pump, because that was my boo. I wore that thing way more than I wore the one that plugs in. The one that plugs in was cool. I think it had better suction, technically. And the pump that she got me was really good. I will probably get the pump that you have, or something maybe one more step above that, because I do want to know how long I've been pumping. And I know that one didn't have it on there. But a pump is an investment.
It is.
You drop a little something on there.
But it's an investment for your future, because the better the pump is for you, the better you are going to be with keeping with a regimen to keep your supply going. You're not going to want to do something that's taxing and hard and difficult to do.
You're not.
If it's easier to do, then you're more likely to keep it up, which is the goal.
Trying to manage, I think my hormones had something to do with my breastfeeding experience too, because trying to manage your emotions while you're trying to feed your child, that's a lot. So mama, give yourself a break, give yourself some grace, do the research while you're pregnant, talk to people, ask questions. Figure that stuff out ahead of time. Put it on the registry. If you're a good friend, if you're a good family member, you'll buy it.
Also, too, something that just popped in my head. Make sure you do your research, too, with what type of pump you want to get and what kind of pumping bra you need. Because some bras, I actually had this one great bra that had 2 attachments. It detached fully where the whole boob would come out if I wanted to breastfeed the baby, and then snap it back up, or the one part unsnap where just the nipple would be exposed.
Slip it.
Yeah, like
just stick the thing in.
Yeah, so like I had the pump that stick through the hole, and then the pump part would come out. I had one of those.
So my bras do both, right? And it took me forever. My big sis was on FaceTime with me pumping, and I said, "That's how you do that? Oh snap!" And then I did not even.
Yeah,
I was doing the hard way.
So it's just very nifty to have the right tools, the right supply, the right combo, the right kit, whatever you want to call it. It's just nice to have the right of everything so that your whole experience is just smoother.
Yeah, based off of what we said, just think about what kind of lifestyle you're going to live after you have a baby and see what you feel like would work better with that.
A lot of them are cute too. Like a lot of the bras are cute nowadays.
I had a 5-pack off of Amazon that came in different colors, and I ordered them twice.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, that concludes our discussion about breastfeeding. Lord bless you. If you are breastfeeding right now, bless you. In the comments, drop if you're breastfeeding and how long you've been breastfeeding. Did you breastfeed every child? Was every experience different? Have you been breastfeeding for 3 months and you're tapped out? I think you said 6. I tapped out at like 4. I was going to try to go to 6 and it's just not going. No. I know a lot of people that are still going up until like 2.
It's actually becoming very popular now. Very popular.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I was like, when she gets teeth, it's a wrap. That's how I felt.
I don't trust it. But shout out to y'all.
That's just me personally. Yeah.
Shout out to y'all.
Me personally.
I'm just telling you.
I just had like mental thoughts of like thinking about it, and I'm like, the teeth on my nipple, I don't think I can handle it. And then you already had the baby shark off rip, so
right. So here ain't no. But yes, drop in the comments if you're breastfeeding, how long you've been breastfeeding.
Is that fruit good?
You gave me a fruit salad.
Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you come in and kick it with us every Thursday for mocktail time with Chelsea and D, so you can get the mocktail that is associated with the video dropping the following Tuesday.
Thirsty Thursday.
All right, love y'all.
Bye.
See you later.